Hey everybody, I've got a quick how-to video for you. So today I'm going to be showing you how to fix loose couplers on these modern Lionel heavyweight passenger cars. So this is a 72-foot passenger car from Lionel's new Grand Canyon Railway steam passenger set. And it has a problem with most of the couplers on the passenger cars in the set. Let me show you what I mean. I'll start off by demonstrating how a proper coupler should work. This is a coupler on another car in the same set that is working properly. So if I open up the coupler, pulling on the little thumbtack, or I could press on the finger tab, same thing, and then I bring up another coupler, we'll pretend this is from another car, and I couple them together, and then I pull on them, they should stay together. Both couplers should remain closed, and that way the cars don't come uncoupled while the train is in motion. The only way these should come uncoupled is if I purposely uncouple them like that. So that is a properly working coupler. Now in contrast to that, here's a coupler on another car in the same set, and if I bring these couplers together and then I pull, it pops right open. And I can even open it with my finger. That's bad, because what will happen if I run these cars is they'll come uncoupled while the train is in motion, probably in a tunnel or someplace on the way out where it's really hard to get to, and it'll be a giant pain in the butt. I mean, there's almost no tension holding that coupler shut. So I'm going to show you how to fix this, and it only takes a couple minutes. Now I could make a big stink about this. I could try to return it to the train store, or exchange it, or send it back to Lionel and whine and cry about it. But I'm not going to do that because I like to try to fix little issues like this when I can, and I only send things back to Lionel or return things as a last resort. And like I said, this is very easy to fix. It only takes a couple minutes. And so rather than going through all the trouble of exchanging it and calling Lionel and complaining, I'm just going to spend 10 minutes fixing these and it'll be good as new. And this is something that's good to know how to do because it doesn't just apply to new sets that have couplers that aren't working right. You can have older passenger cars where, over time the couplers have loosened up and they've become easier to open like that. And they need an adjustment to get good tension so that they remain closed. So to do this fix, I just need 3 tools. First, I need a small flathead screwdriver like this. And then I'll need 2 pairs of pliers. So these are the 2 I have. This one is a nice flat one, and then I've got a standard pair of pliers here. And that's it. Alright, so here's a side view of our coupler, and for those of you who don't know how these things work, let me get you up to speed real quick. So here's our coupler. We've got a spring down here with an E-clip on top. The E-clip is holding the spring in place. And then we've got this throw bar that comes down to the coupler. There's this thumbtack structure here, and then there's a finger tab on the other side. On the other side of that bar, there's a post right about here, and there's another one at the end of the bar. The post that's about here is used to keep the throw bar centered up with the coupler, and then the post at the end is actually used to release the coupler. So when we want to throw the coupler, we need to lift up this bar, and that's done. If you do it by hand, you push down on that post right there, or that little notch right there. Or if you have an uncoupling section of track on your layout, it activates an electromagnet which pulls down on this thumbtack and does the same thing. So the business end of this thing is that little post right there. That goes into the coupler, and that is what keeps the coupler closed. And when that post is pulled out, the coupler opens up. And so what's going on here is there's not enough tension keeping that post down, and that allows us to pull the coupler open. You'll notice that if I uncouple it and then I close it, you'll see that bar lift up ever so slightly as the post is moved out of the way and then falls back down to keep the coupler closed. And like I said, there's just not enough tension and we can pull it back open. So to fix this, we're going to make 2 adjustments. First of all, we're going to add a little more tension to this spring back here, and then we're also going to use the pliers to bend this throw bar ever so slightly just to give it a slight concave shape. And those 2 adjustments will provide more tension to keep that post in there so that it only comes out if we want it to come out and not if there's just pulling force on the coupler like that. Now, just a quick disclaimer, common sense stuff. First of all, this fix only applies to this type of coupler that is used on these modern heavyweight passenger cars that Lionel has been making in recent years. There are other couplers with similar designs, and it might work with those too, but I'm only doing it on one of these heavyweight passenger cars. And then secondly, if you're not comfortable doing this type of work, don't do it. I mean, don't do the work and then break it and say, oh, Eric told me to do it. So, only do this kind of work if you're comfortable doing it. If you're not, take it to a train shop or send it to Lionel or whatever you need to do. Okay, so we'll start off by removing this E-ring, and I'm going to stick my flathead screwdriver in one of these notches and just slowly pry it out. And this is really the only risky part of this procedure because you don't want that E-ring flying across the room. So there it is. We'll set that aside. And then we're going to grab the little spring. So this is going to be our main adjustment. We want more tension in this spring so that the throw bar will remain closed and not open so easily. And we do that just by pulling the spring apart a little bit by hand. Very gently. You don't want to force it. You don't want to bend it. And just gently pull it open. And maybe make it about twice the size it was when we started. Like that. So let's set the spring aside and then we'll pull off this little bar. And we want to make sure it's nice and straight and not U-shaped at all. In fact, we might want to have it be a little like an upside down U, very, very slightly like an upside down U, or I guess you'd call that convex. So we'll take our pliers like that. And I'm just going to gently put a little upside down U to it. I don't want it to be noticeable or just barely noticeable. I mean, it's really about not having it bent the other way. If it's anything, you want to have it slightly convex. So that's good. You can barely tell that it's now ever so slightly convex. So we'll put that back on there. And now we just reinstall everything. So we'll put our spring on, and you can see there's a lot more tension on that spring now. And now we'll reinstall the E-clip. And again, this is kind of risky. You want to make sure that spring doesn't shoot the E-clip all over the room. So I've got it in the notch, and then I'll bring my pliers over and snap it in place like that. There we go. And that's it. The adjustment is done. So let's close the coupler. Oh yeah, already I can feel the extra tension. Very reassuring snap to it. I can still open it, but it's got much more tension there. So let me try to open it by hand. And we can't. And let's bring over our test coupler. Oh yeah, nice and tight. That's got some really good tension on it, and now it'll only open if we want it to open and not any other time. And that's it. That's all there is to this fix. It couldn't be easier, and like I said, it's a lot more convenient than sending it off to Lionel and waiting 6 weeks for them to fix it, or going to the train store and trying to exchange it and stuff like that. You know, 10 minutes and it's all fixed. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this little tutorial. That's going to do it for now. I'm Eric Siegel. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.